Look at see how she gets up immediately. You think so? I can't help it if the better is just going to disappear one day. Uh-huh. I know what your ploy is. How's he doing out there? Yeah, I bet. It's not too bad.
What's that?
That's not too bad.
No, I'm gonna pop it up here because this is what it looks like in real life. So gotta have to test it. Oh, that's way better. That's pretty much exactly what it looks like. Let's see what the latency is now. Ooh, that's pretty good. All right, ready? And 1, 2, 3, 3 seconds. That's not bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like when you're teaching somebody something and there's a 3 second
Yeah. You just gotta say
delay.
that.
Yeah.
There may be a delay.
Yeah. Well, when I'm like, yeah, you tap this and tap that, you know, I mean, they're gonna be like, wait, what did you do? But it's way better. You can actually read it. You can actually read everything now, so that's good.
It's not bad.
Yeah, I'm happy with that. I'm happy with that. Watch this, Holly. I'm gonna hit. twin casters, ANT, and answer. And I almost wonder if whoever created that card, that was the acronym they were going for. They're like, I want an ant, I want a deck that has a bunch of ants. They're like, okay, what can I do with ANT, Adrix and Nev twin casters? Oh man, I'm 80% sure that might be what he done. But yeah, it costs 2, a green and a blue. It has ward 2. Whenever you have ward, there's going to be a number after it, and it says it on there. It says whenever this creature becomes a target of a spell or ability an opponent controls, counter it unless that player pays 2. Important thing to note is that the word target, it has to be targeted. So the card literally has to say target on it, or the ability has to say target on it. It has to be read that way. So if there's a card that says like all, then it's not being targeted. So it says if one or more tokens would be created under your control, twice that many of those tokens are created instead. And it's a 2/2, so it's a 4-cost creature. So basically what I would do is I would put a mana value on it, which is 4. It costs 4. So basically what they did was, to make it an even playing field, what they did was you kind of put the value on each like ability. So it has, so usually one of the costs is going to be on the power and toughness. So if you were to imagine the 2 cost, that can pretty much go to the 2/2, right? And then the ward 2 is going to go to maybe like the green, and then the token doubler goes to the blue. Well, in all reality, that's probably untrue. Usually, the ward 2 is going to, I would say maybe, yeah, I would say ward would be one of the value of the cost value, but that token doubler, that's like 3 or 4 value. I'll show you why. Because think about that ability, right? On a creature that costs 4, and it's already a 2/2 power, and it's getting ward. So in reality, to make this card fair, or like to make this card like actual value, it would probably have to cost at the very least 5, but maybe 6. The reason why is because I'll show you this card that is actually doing that ability by itself. Hold on. Where is it? Am I a tard? Oh, there it is. Right here. Look at the price. $45, $31. So on this for Adrix and Nev is about $5, depending on the art. I think, yeah. So this the cereal one is kind of like, it kind of doubles. It kind of doubles the cost. I don't know how you can. There's a backside to it. I don't know why you can't see it. Anyways, so oh, sorry. Oh yeah, this software is so awesome. It basically lets you have any card you want. So yeah, so you got this $40 card here, right? And it says if an effect would put one or more tokens onto the battlefield under your control, it puts twice that many of those tokens onto the battlefield instead. So basically, you're putting it. This costs 4 by itself, right? The reason why it costs a lot is because it's an enchantment and it's green, so it's only green, so you can put it in more decks than the Adrix and Neb. You get what I'm saying? So the Adrix and Neb, that's green and blue, so you're already limiting what decks you can put in it, whereas the enchantment is only green. If it was an artifact, like you see all these are colorless, these ones. If it was an artifact, then it would be even more valuable because then you can put it in any deck. But the crazy part is that you have this $30, $40 card stapled onto this creature that costs the same amount. And it has ward too, it has protection. So that's why this costing 4 is very valuable. That's one thing about Magic. That's you kind of compare and contrast to other stuff, and you're just like, oh crap. Okay, so I think this is the deck that I'm letting Matt, the kid from UPS store. This is what I'm letting him borrow. So yeah, so that's the commander. I wish I can. I wonder if I can zoom in. Can I zoom? Zoom in. Wow. Okay. Oh wait, I don't have that button. I don't have that button. Zoom in. Oh, nice. I can zoom in. Yes. This is gonna make it a little easier for you, I think. Alright, yeah. It's getting better every time. Yeah. Oh, that's way better, right? You know, I'll do one more. I'll do one more. Yeah, four per line. Look at that, Chris. So somebody with a tablet is look. That's the YouTube stream right now.
That's pretty good.
So support us on Patreon to remove ads. I might. How much is their Patreon? $2 a month. That's pretty good. Let's see. Wait, which one gets you no ads though? Oh, you can do it on the common. Yeah, you'll no longer. Yeah, I might have to do that because I'm trying to support them. I use their software every day, so. Okay, let's go back. So right here it says I have 9 artifacts. Arcane Signet, it costs 2 of any color. So if you have that on the second turn, you're basically, let's call it ramping. You're ramping up. You're increasing more than just the 1 land per turn. You know what I'm saying? Ooh, nature made gummies. Combine Chrysalis, that costs a green and a blue. Creature tokens you control have flying. And you can also sacrifice a token to create a 4/4. You see how it says activate only as a sorcery? Right here. Sorcery speed is only during your turn. And only during one of your main phases. Look how cute this chariot is. When it enters the battlefield, you create two green creature tokens. So basically, if you have Adrix and Nev out, you create 4. And then you see how it says vehicle? A vehicle isn't a creature unless you crew it. See how it says crew 4? So crew 4 means you can tap any amount of creatures that have a power of 4 or more. So if you were to tap Adrix and Nev, then see how it has a 2 power? The one on the left is 2. That's power. So you would have to tap that, and then it'll bring it down to crew 2. And then after you crew it, it becomes a creature. And then it says whenever it attacks, you create a token that's a copy of target token you control. And then of course, because of Adrix and Nev, you create twice the amount. Now, Idol of Oblivion right here, it costs 2, which is super cheap. And it says draw a card, activate only if you create a token this turn. Obviously, we're creating lots of tokens, so draw lots of cards. If you get desperate, you can pay 8 and tap it, sacrifice it, which means you put it in the graveyard and you create a 10/10. And of course, if you have Ant, then you create 2. Masswood. Costs 4. It says creatures you control are every creature type. The same is true for creature spells you control and creature cards you own that aren't on the battlefield. So whenever something says a creature type, it's every. And you get to create tokens. One reason why this card can be important is because of a card like the Biogenic Ooze. See, look at the second static ability. Oh, that's a triggered ability. Look at the second triggered ability right here. It says, at the beginning of your end step, put a +1/+1 counter on each ooze you control. Right? Or look, it says oozes you control get +1/+1. See that? So that's what makes Maskwood Nexus so important. Because look at all these creatures. You see how this one says spider? This one says elemental. This one says human warrior. This one says bird. If you have Maskwood Nexus out, they are every creature type. So all of these are oozes also. So it'll get the +1/+1. It'll get the +1/+1 counter. Yes, all of them become every creature type. It says creatures you control are every creature type. So you're changing this middle line here. It says creature dash elemental. So it can be a double-edged sword because let's say somebody has a spell that says, see how this creature is called an elemental? Let's say somebody has a spell and says it says it says destroy all vampires on it. It'll destroy this because it's the Maskwood Nexus is making it a vampire. But for our purposes, we're trying to get these anthems. They're called anthems. See how it says squirrels you control get +1/+1? And right here it says other squirrels from our hero, Earl the Squirrel. Other squirrels you control get +1/+1. Well, this if you have the Maskwood Nexus out, this bird is also a squirrel, so it would get the +1/+1s. Yeah, he's the greatest. One of my favorite. I'm not sure what's going on with that hat, but it is awesome. So yeah, that's what Maskwood Nexus is all about. And plus, you get to create tokens with it. This Mimic Vat, I don't really like it that much, but it's because I'm a goldfisher. And when you goldfish, you don't get any interaction, but this card is all about interaction. So it says, whenever a non-creature token dies, you may exile that card. If you do, return each other card exiled with Mimic Vat to its owner's graveyard. So basically, the point of, like, I don't know what's going to be in my graveyard when I'm testing this deck. You know what I'm saying? That's all dependent. So this card is like, you can't really test it because it depends on what your graveyard looks like. But basically, you can create tokens for a 3 cost. And then obviously, if we have the ant out, then we can double. Oh, here's a good one. See Mirror Box? It says, the legend rule doesn't apply to permanents you control. Each legendary creature you control gets +1/+1. Each non-token creature you control gets +1/+1 for each other creature you control with the same name. I'll show you. I think it'll actually have it in here. Here we go. That's not good. says if a player, oh, I guess, yeah. Legendary is a card super type. Any permanent, whether it be an artifact, creature, enchantment, or planeswalker, or land, with the legendary super type is bound by the legend rule. So you will see it after its name, or after its creature type, it'll say whether it's legendary or not. And then it says if a player controls 2 or more legendary permanents of the same name when state-based effects are checked, which is literally immediately, that player chooses one of those permanents and immediately puts the others into the owner's graveyards without any player having an opportunity to respond. Oh, look at that. Thank you.
This is ube.
Ube? Nice.
Ube pancake.
Wow, that's so Filipino.
Would you like yours, honey?
No, I'm fine, thank you.
Are you sure it's pancake? Ube pancake.
It's okay.
Just want to try it?
I'll try.
Important things to note is that it says right here, this does not destroy the other permanents. It does not cause them to be sacrificed and cannot be prevented by being indestructible or having regeneration. Another important part is that before you destroy something because of the legendary rule, its entering the battlefield effects still happen. So that's pretty huge. So if you look over here,
If you don't like it, give it to Omar.
so you see how it says legendary planeswalker? And then you got right here it says legendary creature, right? And then you got oh, I don't even know it. Oh, that's so cool how Ancient Tomb isn't legendary. That's freaking crazy. That means that you can copy it, which is freaking insane. It says legendary land on it. See how it says legendary land? And then you got Ooh, that's only $67. That's an expensive piece of paper. Legendary artifact, so I think that's everything. Alright. So yeah, that's why you want this card, just so that you can copy those things. Because if you have a card like oh, like our boy here, Coma. You can't copy him unless you get rid of the legendary rule. Like let's say we tried to copy Adrix and Nev, right? It's a legendary. So you would need something like the mirror box. Or there's another card. Is it? Oh, what? Mirror gallery. Which is, it's crazy that mirror gallery costs more than mirror box because it costs 5. And the other, yeah, it costs 5, and I don't know if you noticed, but it says the legend rule doesn't apply. You know what the problem with that is? It doesn't apply to anybody. So on mirror box, it says legend rule doesn't apply to permanents you control. So if somebody else can copy shit, then mirror box is good for you because it only applies to you. But mirror gallery, it lets anybody do it. So that's pretty crazy that it costs more, and it literally costs more in money. So. All right, so you got Skyclave Relic. The great thing about it is that you can pay 3 more. It says kicker 3. So basically, if you pay 6, and you have Adrix and Nev out, then basically you would get 4 token copies of this, which is insane. That's so much ramp. Yeah, it says when it enters battlefield, if it was kicked, create 2 tap tokens that are copies of Skyclave Relic. So if you have Ant out, then you make 4. That's really awesome. They got Soul Ring. Good old Soul Ring. Let me set it. I'm going to set it by mana value. Okay, yeah, there we go. I set it to mana value. there's only 2 1-cost creatures, and they both just give you land. Got Birds of Paradise, which is great because that's flying. So you have like a little blocker at the end of the game, you know, in case somebody's trying to. Chasm Skulker. So, whenever that triggered ability, whenever you draw a card, put a +1/+1 counter, and then when it dies, it basically makes a bunch of squids, according to, and then you double it with the ant. And then that Circle of Dreams druid right there. That is so crazy. Because you have a lot of creatures out. These are all three costs. So I don't know if you're getting the theme here, but it's basically you're trying to make as many tokens as you possibly can. Yeah, it has a pretty brutal curve for cost, but you can't really get away with. You have to have some heavy hitters to survive with this deck. That's so crazy. the, the average mana value is 3.74. That's super high. Hold on, let's see what the that last of the Mohicans deck. Look at that. Average mana value is 2.3. That's almost half. Like 1.5 less. And then that soldier deck. .89. Alright, so this one, I only got I only have 2 lands, and both of them are like this Mystic Sanctuary you want out later because of its abilities. And then this one only gives you colorless mana. So let's mulligan. Yeah, another not enough land again. Not enough land again. There's only 2. Not enough land again. No land at all. Wow. I'm not happy with this, but it's definitely doable. Because you have 4 lands, so you can cast Adrix and Neb, but you have absolutely no protection. You have the 6 cost one, and you have the 6 cost one. And then you have this card draw artifact, but no real guarantee that you're going to make tokens. So I'm going to mulligan that. Once again, this is doable. There's no real ramp. There's no real ramp, but I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna do it. Let's try this. So that's pretty much my game plan. I got these four lands right here. This Mystic Sanctuary, it says It enters the battlefield tapped unless you control 3 or more islands. When Mystic Sanctuary enters the battlefield untapped, you may put a target instant or sorcery card from your graveyard on the top of your library. So you have 2 choices for this. Try to hold it out for as late as you can, or play it right now. You know what I'm saying? Because if you don't play it right now, then you have the risk of it entering the battlefield untapped. You know what I'm saying? So it's pretty much rolling the dice. What would you do? You're gonna be my conscience today. Should we play it now or play it later? Alright. Play tap. Oh, forgot to draw a card. Ooh, man. I really wish that we played that later so that we can get this as this guy. No, I'm joking. Alright. Okay, so we played our land per turn. This costs 2, this costs 2, this costs 3, this costs 4. So then you pass the turn, right? And untap. Remember? You untap all your lands. It's untap, upkeep, draw. So like food. Yeah. So untap, upkeep, which means anything that says upkeep. See that at the beginning of your upkeep? Hold on, I'll wait for it. I'll wait for it to pop up for you. So yeah, you see this card how it says at the beginning of your upkeep. So that's untap, upkeep, which that's when this would trigger because it has an at. So basically, in a competitive game, if you were to do this trigger at the beginning of your upkeep trigger, and you didn't untap your lands, then too late. Obviously, in casual, no one cares. Yeah. So untap, upkeep, and then draw. Got it's X spell. We'll probably wait until a lot later on for that. So here's another decision you have to make. Uh-oh. Holy crap.
They got on my ass real quick. That was funny.
Usually you would play another land type, like forest, right? What would you you do? Play a forest or play another blue island? Alright, play a forest. So then you have another decision. You can either play this Cryptolith right, or you can hold out your mana to play this Essence Scatter. Hold out. The reason why this is important is because it says creatures you control have tap to add a mana of any color to your mana pool. You don't really have any creatures out, so you won't be able to use it. But in your next turn, you're going to have 3 mana. But you're probably not going to have to. You'll probably be able to play it next turn. You know what I'm saying? Because this theoretical duplication, that's kind of for later in the game. You're trying to, like, if somebody's creating a bunch of tokens, then you can basically get them for yourself. So yeah, we'll hold out. So basically, we'll pretend that Chris plays his commander, and then we'll counter it. So yeah, you tap the 2 lands, and then you say, in response, I'm going to play Essence Scatter. See how it says instant on it? That means you can play it on anybody's turn. As opposed to a sorcery, like Curse of the Swine, that's a sorcery. You can only play that during your turn. So, if it was somebody else's turn, they wouldn't be able to play. You wouldn't be able to play Curse of the Swine because it's a sorcery. All right, let's say everybody went. They didn't destroy your lands. What would you do next? It's the beginning of your turn. What would you do? Yeah, upkeep. But you don't have anything that needs upkeep, right? And then you would draw. Draw a card. Oh, it's another instant. It says destroy target creature. It can't be regenerated. That creature's controller creates a 3/3 green frog lizard creature. So, what land would you put out? An island or a forest? Absolutely, because you can't. You don't want to cast Curse of the Swine because because you can only do 1. If you put out an island, then you can only do 1, right? Because it would be island, island, and then 1 forest. You would only be able to do 1, right? You can't cast Biowaste Blob because it costs 4, right? And then theoretical duplication, it doesn't matter which one you put out because you can cast it, because all you really need is an island and 2 other lands. But you're not really trying to cast this. This is for a little bit later in the game when somebody's going to make some tokens or something like that, you know. So basically, what you can cast is this Cryptolith, right, and this rapid hybridization, right? So Cryptolith, right, is an enchantment. And then rapid hybridization is an instant. So just like how we held out for the essence scatter, we're going to hold out for this rapid hybridization. I mean, if we want to do it now, obviously we can, but what we can do is wait until people cast creatures during all of their turns, because we can literally use this all the way up until our next turn. So all we need definitely is 1 island and 1 forest. So it doesn't matter which land. And then obviously, because we have enough for anything. What we're trying to do is either cast Bio Waste Blob or Adrix and Nev. The good thing about Adrix and Nev is that it has Ward 2. So usually you don't want to cast a commander unless it's protected. But he's protected on his own. It's stapled on him or them. You know what I'm saying? So that's our goal next turn, is to cast this. So yeah, which land would you put out? It doesn't. So we've basically found out it doesn't matter. Because either way, on our next turn, we can cast Bio Waste Blob or Adrix and Nev. So yeah, you basically just pick one. It's a dice roll, basically. You pick. The reason why I wouldn't do that, no, I'm joking. Okay. So now you're gonna make sure you have an island for that rapid hybridization, right? So to cast this Cryptolith, right, what would you do? Look at the cost. What's the cost? Uh-huh. And what do you definitely need? What are the requirements for the cost? Alright, so what do you do to the forest? Tap it, and then what's the other cost? Yeah, so what would you do to pay for that? Yeah, what do you do to it? Alright, so now you get to cast it. The spell goes on the stack, somebody can have the choice to counter it or whatever. And then if nobody does interacts with it, then it goes on the battlefield as turns into an enchantment. Alright, so it's the end of our turn. Let's say somebody casts a creature that you don't like, and we want to destroy it. What would you do? No, it's not our turn anymore. I'm saying somebody casts a creature spell that we want to destroy. What would you do? Yeah, and we can't even pay for it because it costs 3. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so what would you do? Yeah, you just do the same thing that you did for Cryptolith, right? Yep. You would say, I'm going to play Rapid Hybridization targeting creature A. That's what you would say. Because whenever something says target, you have to say the target to put it on the stack, because that's a requirement. So yeah, so the reason why that's important is because what people might do if they don't know the rules is they would say, I'm going to play Rapid Hybridization. Does anybody want to counter it? Right? That's what someone might say. Well, what you would then say is, what creature are you targeting? Because that's, and then they would say, I'm not going to tell you. Are you going to counter it? And then you would say, well, you have to target a creature in order to make it a spell. That's why it's very important. No, that's the point I'm trying to make. You have to target a creature. So you say, I'm going to play Rapid Hybridization targeting creature A. So if nobody interacts with it, then what happens is that creature becomes destroyed. They can't regenerate it, and then that creature, I'll show you. Look at the fucking. That's
pretty wicked.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. It looks like a Dilo, right?
Yeah.
You see it, Holly? That's it's green. That's the creature that whoever's the controller of the creature that you destroyed, they get that. They get that. That's the price. So you might not want to destroy like a 1/1 soldier creature token because they're going to get something better. Yeah. So Rapid hybridization is for destroying something that's very significant because they're going to get a creature out of it. So if you destroy like a 3/3 bear, then there's pretty much no point because yes, unless 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 there's a card out there, or unless there's a card that you're using where it's like if a player has a green creature, then they lose 2 life. You know what I mean? Then yeah, that would be great. Like, or like all players that have frogs lose 2 life every turn. You know what I mean? Like something like that. Then yeah, then yeah, you can destroy a 1/1 chump because you're trying to put an actual frog or a lizard or a green creature on their battlefield. That's one way to put a frog or a lizard or a green creature on their battlefield is with yeah. So that's where deck building comes into play. You know. Yeah. So they get that. So you still got to fight. And then where does this card go after everything resolved? No, the rapid hybridization. It goes in your graveyard. The reason why that's significant is because of a card like this. Wait for it. Wait for it. So read that again. You don't have to read it out loud. Yeah. You don't have to read it out loud, but just read it again. So let's. Yes, if you were to do that effect, like if you had 3 other islands and you put that out, then you would be able to get that rapid hybridization and put it on top of your library when you put this out. Yeah, so that's graveyard interaction. Alright, so you destroyed somebody's creature. Now they're angry at you. And it's your turn now. What do you do? Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Pay him off, make him your friend.
Correct. Alright. We got quantum misalignment. Yes, it's lagging. Mm-hmm. Boom. We get rid of the legendary rule. We'll be able to copy Adrix and Neb with that. And read rebound. Yeah, that's huge. So it's a 2-for-1. And it's out of exile. That's the important part. So you see how it says if you cast a spell from your hand, exile it as it resolves, right? So if you were to cast it regularly, it would go in the graveyard. So there are cards that will get rid of your graveyard. So not only will you be able to get it, use it twice, but it's protected until it's protected in exile until you can do it again. Whereas no, is, let's say, I wonder if you can, yeah, let's see. All right, let me show you this card. That's so cool. I wonder if I can zoom. Zoom. Wait. Is that bigger or is that? Oh, it's a little bit bigger. So you have a card like this. Sorry. It says, yes. So
Pretty good, Ruth.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you.
Pancakes.
very Asian.
Very Asian.
So let's go back to this card, right? So it says, in the rebound, it says, if you cast a spell from your hand, exile it as it resolves. At the beginning of your next upkeep, you may cast this card from exile without paying its mana cost. So usually you would have Artful Dodge. I can't believe they named this Artful Dodge. Alright, yeah, see it? It's coming. You see it? Artful Dodge. So that's essentially the same thing. The difference is that Artful Dodge, you'll be casting it from your graveyard. Well, let's go back to Bojuka Bog. Flash. Yes. But let's go back to Bojuka Bog, right? Yeah. So if somebody plays that between when you played Artful Dodge and your next turn, if they exile your graveyard, then you're not going to be able to play it. Whereas, I'll wait for it. Quantum Misalignment, you play it from exile. They can't touch that. So it's going to happen whether someone likes it or not. That's why that card is super powerful. They can't interact with the card. Rebound, you can't interact with rebound, is what I'm trying to say. Alright. So that's very powerful. Okay. So you got Quantum Misalignment. What are you going to do now? Yeah. We only got the one. Alright, so we're probably going to hold off on the theoretical duplication. So you have the choice of either casting this dude, and he has protection, so that's great. Or you can cast the BB. And read Biowaste Blob too. There's an interaction in there that's significant. That's not what. It's the first. It's before the comma that's important. Yes. So right now, so if you were to cast, yeah, you don't control commander, so you pretty much don't have a choice but to play Ajax and Nev. So what are you gonna do to play Ajax and Nev? Look at the cost. Yeah. So what would you do? remember when you cast a creature, it has summoning sickness, so you can't attack or do anything that causes it to tap. So you see, yeah, so you see how Cryptolith, right? It says creatures you control have tap, add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. You wouldn't be able to do that because it has summoning sickness. Yeah. So you don't have any mana, which is dangerous because everybody knows that you probably can't cast anything. Alright, so what do? Everybody takes their turn. Nobody destroys your creature. Nobody destroys your enchantment. What do you do now? It's the beginning of your turn. Oh. And then ooh, big question. Big question. Alright, let's look at your you got Nature's Lore. Alright, so we have choices to make. So the good thing about Nature's Lore is that it just goes onto the battlefield. Usually cards that search for land put it on the battlefield tapped, but this is not the case. So essentially this costs 1 mana. So if you're getting what I'm saying, then you will be able to play Bio-Waste Blob, which is our plan anyways, right? Okay, so let's see if you can figure out how to play. Give it 3 seconds. I'm gonna see if you can figure out how to play Nature's Lore and Bio-Waste Blob. This is your quiz. This is your quiz. If you want me to put anything out so you can read it better, then tell me. Yeah, it's just an island right now. Don't even worry about that. Don't even worry about the words. So basically, you're at the spell store and you're trying to figure out how to buy this stuff. Tell me how you would do it. Yeah, I'm trying to see if you can figure out how to cast both of these spells. I believe in you. So, first question is, if you were you can cast Bio-Waste Blob right now, right? Because you have 4 mana, right? So that means that you wouldn't be able to cast Nature's Lore, right? So obviously you're going to cast Nature's Lore first. So tell me how, knowing that, what would you do? Shuffle the deck. You don't have to worry about that. Right now we're just worried about the cost. How do you pay for it? Oh my god. Tap. Alright, let's cast Nature's Lore first. How do you... What's the first thing you need to do? How do you do that? How do you pay for it? We're just trying to pay for it. What do you do? Uh-huh. And then what else? Which land? Alright. So nobody counters it. Now we're going to search our library for a forest card. So let's find... Let's see if we have a dual land that says forest on it. I don't have a damn forest dual land in there? Come on. I guess I don't. So we'll just take this. Yep. Yep. Put it onto the battlefield like I just did. And then shuffle the deck, and then what do you do to the Nature's Lore? Yeah. Alright. Now let's try to cast Biowaste Blob. How are we going to do that? What do you do to the 2 4s? Uh-huh. Uh-huh. So what can you tap? What else you need? Uh-huh. How are we going to do that? Read Cryptolith right. Read Cryptolith right. Mm-hmm. So what are you going to do? That, remember you asked what the symbol means? What does it mean? Tap. Yes. What do you tap? Yep. Now you cast Biowaste Blob. Alright, it's an ooze, right? See how it says creature ooze? It says oozes you control get +1/+1. Gets a +1/+1. Let's give it +1/+1. Yep, now it's a 1/1. Alright. Alright, so we're all tapped out, so there's nothing we're going to be able to do. Let's say somebody was attacking you. What would you do? If they're just like attacking you with like a 3/3 or something like that, what would you do? You wouldn't be able to block with Adrian Nev because it's tapped, but you would be able to block with Biowaste Blob. Yes. So basically the question would be, would you rather block and kill Biowaste Blob, or would you rather take the damage since on your next turn you're going to have an effect with Biowaste Blob? I mean, I definitely would. I'll show you how cool this card is. Alright, so it's your turn. What do you do? Yeah, you got attacked, you took all the damage. Let's say you took like 6 damage or something. You're down to 34. Because you want to save what you got. Alright, so what do you do now? Alright. And then what? What you do? That's right. So then, and then what does the ant do? That's right. So how many bio-waste blobs are we going to make? 2. So check this out, okay? So look what happens. We're gonna go from the right, okay? It says this one right here, right? The one to the very right. Read the static ability. It says oozes you control get +1/+1, right? All right, let's do it. Let's do it. Yeah, yeah, let's do it. Hold on. All right, now let's do this one. The one in the middle. Oozes you control get +1/+1, right? Yeah. No, that's not an ooze. Yep. And then the one on the left, you already gave it. It's +1/+1, so yeah. Now you have 3 oozes. So each one affects everything. So you look at the first ooze, and you're saying oozes you control get +1/+1. So you put +1/+1 on every ooze. You put +1 plus, and then you look at the next ooze and you say oozes get control get +1/+1. So another +1, and then the next one oozes you control get +1, and then they're like exponential growth basically. All right, so you're done with your upkeep. Draw. Ooh, look at that. Okay, so what would you cast? Yeah, they started doing that. Nobody likes it. It enters the battlefield. Remember quantum misalignment? You want to cast it? All right, so it costs 5. You definitely have a island, right? 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. All right, and what are we gonna copy? Uh huh. And how many are we going to create? Read Adrix and Nev's bottom ability. So I hope you like math because it's gonna get really dumb soon. Okay, I'm gonna leave this card out because it's gonna get so stupid in the beginning of the next turn. I don't even know if I'm gonna be able to figure it out, but I'm gonna try. Okay. Remember the legend rule? So you see how it says legendary creature, merfolk, wizard? Yes, these are not legendary. So basically, you don't have to destroy them because if they were legendary, then you would have to destroy them right away. Okay, so if you wanted to, you can cast theoretical duplication, or you can cast anything really. Do you know why? Because of Cryptolith Right. Mm-hmm. So if we want to, like, let's say we wanted to cast Essica's Chariot, right? All I have to do is tap this, tap that, tap that, tap that. It's alright, you'll see. Give it a second. It says creatures you control have tap, add 1 mana of any color to your mana pool. So let me tell you how retarded this would be, okay? So it says create two 2/2 green cat creature tokens, right? So you would create 4, 8, you would create 12 of them. On Essica's Chariot. You would create 12. Because each of your Adrix and Nevs double that creation. Yes, you would create 12. But since our next turn is going to get so insane, I'm going to hold off on that. And plus, sometimes you want to hold off on cards in case somebody destroys everything. You know what I mean? So yeah, what is it called? Keeping all eggs in your basket, or it's like sometimes you want to hold stuff in case. Like right now, if somebody does a board wipe, like if somebody does like destroy all creatures, you would lose all these creatures. And the crazy part about that is that our quantum misalignment, it won't have anything to target. So it would be really bad. So to have Essica's Chariot still in your hand, in case that happens, is probably a good thing. You know what I mean? Okay, so we have two things that say at the beginning of your upkeep. All right. So we get to choose which one goes first. Okay. So we're going to choose quantum misalignment first. Right? So basically, what we're going to do, it says rebound. If you cast a spell from your hand, exile it as a resolve. At the beginning of your next upkeep, you may cast this card from exile without paying its mana cost. Create a token that's a copy of target creature you control, except for it isn't legendary. So what we're going to do is we're going to create 2 more Adrix and Nevs. Right? No. You have to do it for every instant. So we had 3 of them, right? So you would create 2 for the original one. Then you would create 2 for the second one. And then you would create 2 for the third one. So now you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now we have 9 Adrix and Nevs. Wait, is that right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, we have 9. Now we have to trigger the byways blob. So, okay. So the first byways blob, right? It says create a token that's a copy of byways blob. So we would get 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18 for the first one. And then you would get 18 for the next one. And then you would get 18 for the next one. So what's 18 times 3? Yeah, you're right. So we would create 54 biowaste blobs. And they would all be power and toughness 54, 54. 54, 54, 54 biowaste blobs. Because they all say oozes you control get +1/+1. So they all get +1 from each other one. You would just that's why you have like the dry erase tokens. You just write 54. Yeah. And then you hope and pray that you have a counter spell because somebody's gonna do a board wipe and then everything. There's a card that does what is it called?
Austere Command will get rid of them.
Oh yeah, I'm talking about hold on, let me look let me see if I can find this one card. Oh yeah, Fumigate. have that. I have Fumigate in my Archidekt. Oh my god, that would be such a blower. It says, destroy all creatures. You gain 1 life for each creature destroyed this way. So if you had those like 70 creatures on your board, I would gain 70 life. Yeah. Yeah, I have that in the Archidekt. That's a cool. I've never seen this Fumigate before. That's awesome.
Yeah, I've seen that. Not that art.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That art is super cool. Oh, it's a beekeeper.
Yeah.
He's using the
Yeah.
smoke.
It's smoking.
The
Yeah, he's a giant.
Yeah.
Or that's us. You know, there's
That's
zoomed
super
in.
cool. The one small garden of a free gardener was all Sam's need and do. Not a garden swollen to a realm, his own hands to use, not the hands of others to command. So you think that's like Samwise Gamgee that said that? Or that they're talking about?
Possibly.
The one small garden of a free gardener was all Sam's need and do. Not a garden swollen to a realm, his own hands to use, not the hands of others to command.
Yes. That's Sam.
Yeah.
Samwise Gamgee.
That was fun.